Assalamu alaikum, everybody. So as for myself, I am an imam by training, but I never worked full time in a mosque. But I am because my profession has been in fundraising. I have been fundraising for the last 15 years or more in 3 different countries in various settings. And ever since I came to Canada, I have been working. I worked at United Way, Toronto, and then I worked at Women's College Hospital Foundation, as well as Silent Voice Canada. It's a small charity supporting the deaf community. And I'm doing some consultancy for small charities and religious organizations. Because what I found is that the inclusive philanthropy, that means the giving by immigrant communities, is a real potential to support local causes. Unfortunately, it doesn't happen. Most of our funding, most of our giving goes outside the country. Local causes are suffering. So that's why I really wanted to promote it, and inshallah, to get people to think about local causes, inshallah. So this is all about me. And regarding this topic, a few years ago, I did a research paper on stewardship practices among Muslim organizations, especially masajids. I interviewed about 16 masajids in downtown in the GTA area, and I produced a paper for AFP, of which I'm a member of Association of Fundraising Professionals. Khairan, inshallah, let's start. Everybody is okay. Shall I start? Okay, great. I'm going to share my screen. Sister Nargis, do I have?
You should have. Do you know?
No.
Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, khair, inshallah. This is the topic we are going to talk about, Stewardship 2.0. And so before we, what is the agenda going to look like? So inshallah, we have about 1.5 hours. So agenda is going to look like starting from the basics. So if you don't know what is Stewardship 1.0, we can't understand what is Stewardship 2.0. So I'm going to go over, quickly gloss over what is Stewardship 1.0. Then I'm also going to talk about the pitfalls. What is not a stewardship, right? We are going to give some examples. Then we go into the taking few notches up, that is the Stewardship 2.0. And then from your side, what will you do? And you will be participating actively in polls and interactions, as well as in the end, I'm going to give 3 case studies for you, all of you, to discuss and come up with some solutions, okay? So it will be more interactive, inshallah. If you have any questions, please put in the chat box so that whenever we have a break, I will quickly go through and inshallah I will respond. So starting from the first one, there's a poll and Sister Nargis is going to open up the poll. Please respond. How do you understand the word stewardship?
See the poll?
Yeah. Are there only 3 people, Sister Nargis? So we have already have, no, 4 responses, yes.
Yes.
Yes, perfect. Oh yeah, it's 5. Taking care of the natural environment, 1. Taking care of our masjid congregants, 1 vote. And taking care of donor wishes, 3 votes. Obviously, so this is the results quickly. Okay, let's go to the second one. So the correct answer is the third one, taking care of donor wishes, right?
Okay.
Second, when does stewardship take place? Before the donor makes a gift or donation, after he or she makes the donation, after the donation has been fully spent, or when the donor visits your mosque or an organization. By the way, I'll be referring to mosques because I'm also an imam, so I do fundraising in the mosque as well as professionally I do for nonprofit organizations. So, and when the donor attends our events. Okay, great. And we have, okay, I'm going to share this results. 3 or 50% of you answered the correct answer. That is the after host she makes a donation is the stewardship. Okay.
Hmm.
And now let's go to the third one. This is about you. Does your organization have a stewardship plan, or must it have a stewardship plan, or a high level strategic idea on how to build stewardship into your fundraising? Mhm. And the last person, 5 out of 6 has been responded.
Should I just end it?
Yes, yeah. And share the results. That's interesting. I thought somebody will say number 6. So that means you all understand what is stewardship is, except that two respondents said that no, Ramadan, we talked about it, but we could not implement it yet. Okay, great. We will go to the topic now.
We don't want the fourth poll?
Fourth one, not now.
Okay.
So I want to make a disclaimer before I start. So today's subject about stewardship, now you understand what stewardship is, but I just want to make this clear. Today's subject about stewardship is not about where to find dollars or funding or how to get money from big donors. So if you came with that expectation, I'm just going to say I'm not going to talk about how to get fund from the so those are the two things which Sister Oida and Amber spoke in the last 2 sessions. And through this subject, it may show some new ways of prospecting. You know the word prospecting. That means that how to get new donors, where to find new donors, and finding untapped opportunities to attract new donors in the long run. I know that one of the brothers in the first one, they were talking about where to find what are the opportunities, right? And what are the untapped opportunities. So we may come across some of these ideas when we are talking about the subject. So what is stewardship? Stewardship is defined in the past. It was defined as classically. It was defined as 5 steps. Right. Number 1, you identify the donor. Right. They come to the mosque. You see that they have the capacity. Okay. Now you do the research and qualification. You find out that what they are worth and can they pay money, and do they have do they have family members, or are they giving to other charities? Where do they spend their money on? What are they interested in? Right. So research and qualification, and cultivate is that you build that relationship with the donor before you ask for the money. And the fourth part is a solicitation. And then once they make the donation is the stewardship comes in, right? And then it goes a cycle. Interestingly, now modern gurus are talking about fundraising. It's a stewardship is a wrap around. Right? The fundraising cycle, 4 are there, and the stewardship actually goes around. So it's not separate. It's not a separate entity. Rather, it always wraps around the entire fundraising. So stewardship is the most important step in the fundraising, the donor relationship.
Have you already translated stewardship? I mean, I thought it was relationship building, but it seems to be something else.
It is relationship. I will come to that. I'm going to explain that, right? So, but this is a very popular slide. Sister Nagis has seen this one I'm presenting many times. So this is how the not-for-profit world understand the donor cultivation cycle, and how Muslims understand the donor cultivation cycle. We don't have those 5 cycles. We only have the solicitation. When we see a donor, we always want to ask the money right away. But in nonprofits donor cultivation cycle, sometime yesterday, I believe that yesterday or the day before, or the first one, Sister Oida said, major gift fundraising, sometime we have to cultivate them for 12 to 18 months before we go and ask them. But in our Muslim world, most of the time, right away, we ask the money, right, emotionally. If they did not give it, we become very angry too, right? That's the end of the relationship. Okay, we go around gossiping about them. This guy has money, but he's a stingy guy, miserly person. He's not giving, right? But the solicitation is not the only part of a donor's fundraising side, donor relationship. And a definition, I'm not going to go into the details. You can read through this. You see, once you receive the gift, how you are, there are two things you are going to, you have in your hand. One is the gift itself and the donor him or herself. So how do you manage these two relationships? What is your duty towards the gift? How do you expense it? How do you invest it? And there's an accountability piece, fiscal accountability piece. And second, how do you make the donor valued in how you treat them, how to continue that? So these are the two elements of stewardship.
This comes after they've made the donation?
Yes, yeah. After the, so here the functions. The functions are, first, number one, the simple thing, thank you, or jazakallah khairan, barakallah feek, or dua, small dua, expressing gratitude for donor contribution, regardless of how much it is. And investing the gifts for its intended purpose. If the donor says that I want this to go towards orphan, I want this to go towards an advocacy course, or I want go to my money to go towards training young children to become teachers, it has to be driven by that. It has to be directed to that cause. Using gifts wisely to manage the mission well. It's not that we just throw away the money just because we received too much money for this cause and we can throw away however we want to spend on. And the communicating the demonstrable impact to the donor. We have to tell them once given, we have to let them know how did we use that money. And many massages I go to, I always remind them in the khutbah, every Friday, we collect about $2,000 to $5,000. Next week again, oh, please donate. I said, stop. Tell them, what did you do with that $5,000 last week? And subhanallah, ever since some massages, ever since they started to implement, they started to see the numbers are going up. Or they will say, we have put how we spend that money in our notice board. At least that is an accountability. You have to communicate that. And then invite, not only masjid, even organizations. You receive, you have a big gala, fundraiser. When do you communicate that back? Within 1 or 2 weeks, you have to communicate how you spend that money, how much you raised and how much you spent. Unfortunately, how much you raise is always like a mystery. We don't know how much that organization is spending or raised. Second, how did they spend? And inviting the donors to become more involved. This is new. This is new means that most of the time, first generation donors, what we do is when we give something and, oh, we forget about it. We don't want that to be known and we don't want to get involved. But now younger generation, Gen X and Gen Y wants to get more involved. If I give, I want to see what you're doing. Invite me to become a volunteer. I want to come and see. I want to sit in your board. I want to volunteer with you. I want to come and see what you are doing. I want to go to that shelter to support people, see how that impact is. So this is also, you have to keep in mind if you're if you're interacting with young or even Gen X donors also, fine, right? And periodically offering them opportunities for additional gifts. But what happens that we always skip all the 2, 3, 5, 2, 3, 4, and 5. The moment they give, next time we only meet them when we want more money. So there's steps we always skip through. And this is like a formula, a framework. First is starting with the appreciation, and then communication and research, learning donor motivation. Why did they give? Alhamdulillah, I did before COVID a workshop for Sound Vision on understanding the donor motivation. In the Muslim community, we rarely know what the motivation is. There are 53 motivations why people give, 53 reasons why people give. All these are found in the Muslim community, but we never unearth, we don't research. We think we give for the sake of Allah. True, you give for the sake of Allah, but there's another underlying element of why you are doing that. So we went through all the participants who came to that workshop on understanding from their perspective, why do they give? Amazing, amazing results. You'll be surprised. So finally, the engagement. So inspiring to give again, your relationship will inspire to give them again, to your cause again. Remember, Sister Oida said that on average, 45 to 50% of donors are not retained. Next year, they're not going to renew the donation to you. How do you make sure that they are retained? Retention rate is important for any organization, even a small organization or a new organization. So the value is trust. It is the cornerstone of donor stewardship. When a donor makes a gift to an organization, that establishes a relationship built on trust. Because, by nature, psychologically, we don't want to give away our money. We don't want to take part. We don't want to make part with our money. This is something I earned. Why should I give it to you? Because I trust you. I know that you will do best. If as a husband, I give the money to my wife, I know she will spend it wisely. She will use it properly. Or the wife gives something to the children, or vice versa to the husband. We have a trust. That trust is the same trust which operates the relation between a donor and an organization, a donor and a masjid. So the donor trusts that the money will be well managed and used in a way in keeping with his or her intent. Sister Nargis, please check the chat box. I'm not following that. This is a question. Yeah. And the outcome is that stewardship is, sometimes we think that stewardship is that when they give, okay, I'm giving them a tax receipt, that's enough. Or thank you letter is enough. By the way, I mean, some massages even don't send thank you letters. I go to a masjid every Ramadan to fundraise, and they raise, mashallah, $50,000 or something every night. And after that, I told the imam, the next day when they call, I always ask, did you already thank them? In the last 12 months, why do we have to thank? I said, Imam, but we have to send a thank you letter. I prepared a thank you letter and send it to him because I'm going there. They see me. So I said, please send this to them before at least they come to next Ramadan. But I had to get the board permission. And next time when I went and I asked, did you already send them? Did they come? They know that they already been thanked? Oh, no, Imam Rishad, we could not do that. You see, we take for granted. That's why the donor retention rate is very low in the Muslim community. And then so what is the outcome? It simply begins with a gratitude and ends with a gift renewal. Remember, that's a circle. The cycle goes continuously. So donor retention. Stewardship at a minimum 3 letters from the organization and 1 report. How did you spend? What are the letters? So we'll talk about, there are many ways you can send a letter. It doesn't have to be even a WhatsApp message, even a text message, even a phone call. Everything is counted as donor touch points in the stewardship journey. This is a stewardship matrix. Say, for example, this is just a sample for a nonprofit organization, but you can just put together something, right? Okay, we have donors. What is we are going? Thank you email, a thank you call from the director, or the imam can call, right? If you're masjid, or welcome letter, or you have an event, invite them first and highlight them, their story in the newsletter, or some interesting stories to share with them. So it could change for new donors. It's called the service level. If you're going to do, if say for example, if you have 500 donors who are giving at $10 to all the way to $5,000, if you're going to serve all of them with the same yardstick, the same service level, you're going to burn out. It's not possible. So what you do is you segment the donors, gift level. Okay, this donor received this much, and whoever gave $1,000 and above, if they will receive a phone call from our board, the board chair. Or whoever gave $5,000 and above, they will receive a call, the phone call, or maybe they will be invited for a lunch or dinner, something like this. So it's as simple as such. And the reporting, definitely everybody has to receive a report. Okay. Okay, now, number 4. So now we learned about donor stewardship. Think from an Islamic perspective, because once I did the presentation, somebody about stewardship, they asked, is it Islamic? Or is it a non-profit Christian or Jewish way of recognizing donor? Think about all what we discussed now and put what is the equivalent term in Islamic term.
I think it skipped right to the results, or unless it's just my screen. Did I?
Yeah, it says you can't answer.
Oh, is it, Sister Nargis?
Let me try again.
Yeah.
You get it?
Is it working? Okay, perfect. Okay, 5 out of 6 have answered already.
I don't know where the sixth person is, but
Yeah, okay. So actually, you see, you all are correct. Actually, all of them, all 5 of them, accountability, amana, masuliya, amana, communication, and then maintaining good relationship with people, as well fulfilling the pledge, fulfilling the promise. Because when we take the money, we take with a promise. That promise you are fulfilling as an organization or a masjid.
you want me to do the fifth one now or no?
Not yet. Right. So we understood what is donor stewardship. Any questions at this point?
So I think you mentioned that Muslims don't donate as much as non-Muslims do. Is that correct?
Sorry. No, is that the stewardship piece you mentioned?
Yeah, I think so. One of the sisters asked.
I think he said they don't donate to local causes as much as they do.
Local
Yes, yeah,
causes.
local causes. Yes, yeah,
They
that's
give
true.
to mosques mostly, right?
No, not even mosque. Actually, they give to international relief organizations or send the money back to their own homes for families to spend, give the charities.
The Rahima
Yes,
has
yes.
a question.
Assalamualaikum.
Walaikum salam.
So I guess we're in relation to that then when we're talking about how do we get our families or our community members to donate to our so-called local causes. I'm not sure if you're going to address this later on, but it's really difficult to compete when there's all these projects that need our attention.
Mhm.
So I guess that would be my question to you is, how do I preach to my community that, my youth group needs money when there's people in Syria and Ukraine and Afghanistan that also need the funds?
Those are competing priorities, but unfortunately, this in this presentation, I'm not going to talk about how to get that funding. But anyway, I'll talk some few details. Maybe that will be helpful for you when framing your cause, inshallah. Okay. Okay, now we are going to have a breakout group for 10 minutes. If there's not enough people, you can have like 2 groups. What is a memorable stewardship activity that you did in your masjid or organization without expecting a financial donation and made your donors happy? Discuss and come back.
I'm actually gonna put the link. Well,
Okay.
do we need to do Jamboard then? Let them just discuss then, right?
Yeah, so it's a small group, right? Yeah, let them discuss. Or maybe if you want to have the same group here, what I can do is I can go off camera and then come back within 10 minutes.
So I'll just put them in 2 groups. It's
Okay. You can stop exactly at 10 minutes. Okay, sister. Can you type this message into the group? Is
Sure.
it possible?
What should I say? Oh, you mean the question?
Yeah. Maybe I can do. Yeah, give me a sec.
I'll just do it. I'm just doing it now. Just gonna go to room 2 to make sure that everybody's there.
Okay.
I'm talking.
You want me to go? You can go, right? Okay.
The other group is having a good chat. They're not coming back.
They'll eventually be back because they're gonna get kicked out anyway.
Yes, yeah. So why don't we start with your group and how did it go? Can somebody share one experience?
Sure. So we had levels of people in our group. Mariam here told us that she's only just started, so she was looking for more of a refresher in terms of what are some things that she could bring back into the role. And Rafia, I'm sorry if I'm saying that incorrectly. Rafia shared a very good idea about sending seeds to donors during Ramadan so that it would have the purpose of it. The goal was to encourage sustainability and food security. And some of the things that we do at our organization include sending thank you notes and adding names into annual reports and acknowledging people on social media.
Amazing, amazing, alhamdulillah. And group number 2, any something stood out?
Sister Rima, you're going to speak?
Sure, I can speak.
Okay, go ahead.
I think that we had a really fruitful discussion. We talked about basically what you said. It just came out in all of the experiences that we shared is just building that donor trust. So cultivating relationships even beforehand. And what one finds is those relationships are built not solely for the sake of I need a donation in 10 to 12 months, but also just because of natural networking. And we also talked about using your present skills to, whether that's writing pitches for people to donate or, just being a little bit audacious and a little bit aggressive in asking for donations, or just to, at least to ask your network to share your launch good page links and whatnot.
Amazing, amazing. Perfect. So let's move on to our second part of the topic. I'm going to share the screen. Good discussion, alhamdulillah. You see, when you discuss, you'll see that all these elements, principles are embedded in what you're doing. The only thing is that we are not intentional about it. So if you were to be intentional, that will drive results. Okay, we went here. Now we are going to talk about what is not stewardship. Okay, this sorry. Okay, what is not stewardship? This you would have seen a lot, right? Excessive spending. I have a term some of our colleagues are using, charitainment, charity plus entertainment. When I was working at an organization, there was a donor who was $1 million donor. What they did was, he had a big family, right? He come from a certain country I can't mention, and he had a big family. What they did was, for his birthday, they created chocolates with their family's photos, the big chocolates, right? They embedded that, embossed each family member's photo, like the image, into that chocolate, and gave as a gift in gold wrapped paper. That alone, when I looked at when I went to the finance team and talked about that alone cost about $300,000, $300,000, because these are real gold. For how much? That person gave $1 million. And then another organization, and he was an architect, when they wanted to solicit a donation from him, what they did was that, the proposal we sent, that proposal, they made it in a way, it is like an architecture, that big paper, and prepared it in such very fancy papers. That alone also cost a lot of money. Why? Because they know that they are going to give. Even after they are giving, what they did was they wanted to acknowledge that by giving this lavish gifts. Now, these are not Muslim organizations. Let me tell you about Muslim organizations. One Muslim organization, a charity, somebody gave $500,000, about $500,000, and they flew him from another city to a big venue in Toronto, a high five-star hotel, to give him a big dinner. And he stayed in that hotel. And that alone, the expense alone is enough for one mosque's entire annual amount revenue. I used to fundraise for a small organization, small mosque, $40,000 per year. Only in Ramadan they will raise that 40,000 for the entire year. Imagine how much they would have spent. And sometimes they bring in speakers. I'll come to that point a little bit later. Now, misaligned events. Yes, every charity, every organization, like the Muslim Women Coalition of KW and also Sister Rafia's Deen Services, they have a mandate. But sometimes you have events, it has nothing, people remember who is doing this work. Is it like a film association is running this work, running this event? There's no alignment with what you are standing for and what you're doing. And donor discrimination also happens. How? Because when people likes to only, why that the lavish dinner was not given to somebody who gave $10,000? Because we try to discriminate. In fact, if you're working in a nonprofit sector and a professional organization, we have something called donor service level. As I said earlier, if you have 500 donors, you can't treat all of them, serve all of them in the same yardstick. What you do is you segment them. But at the minimum level, you should not discount the minimum level donors. Rasulullah did not do that. When he was going to Tabuk, right? Remember that Abu Bakr brings his entire wealth. Umar is bringing 1/3 of his wealth. And there was one old lady, she was walking. Rasulullah was waiting for her to come in. And she only gave 1 dinar. Rasulullah kept that dinar on top of all the pile of the entire amount which was raised that time. Rasulullah acknowledged, Rasulullah practiced stewardship during that time. So at least as a minimum, there should be some recognition. But in our masjid, we raise money, and then people who give $10 or $100, we never call them, we never thank them. But the large donors, we remember them. And then ambiguous projects. Sometimes you don't know what kind of projects they are running in other countries. Right? We raise money, and what kind of projects? What is it about? I can go on and on, give a lot of examples. And then finally, the inflated impact. Oh, we served 100,000 people in Africa. We served 500,000 people. We made 500,000 people to go to schools. But there's something called attribution versus contribution. Remember this word very carefully. Contribution is that you are contributing to that cause, but the result is not only because of your work. There are other people are also working on the same sphere. Or somebody, a young boy who is going to school, just because you paid money, he didn't go to school. He had other support from other organizations. Somebody else did some kind of poverty relief support for him. So he was able to eat something. Then only he will be able to go to school. So you see, many people are contributing to that person to go to school. And wealth, subhanallah. Ramadan is full of wealth. I studied international development for my master's, right? And there was a study that says that if we count the amount of wells, water wells, right, built in Africa, there won't be space to build homes. Time immemorial. Oh, we built 2,000 wells and 200,000 wells. Where are these wells? I had colleagues from South African countries, they were studying with me. They will say, shut up, this is BS, there's nothing. And then there are reasons why some places you can't build wells, but what happens to those money? So inflated impact. Whereas attribution is that actually you are the one who causing that change. You are the one who creating that change. So then, yes, I can claim this is my work, my organization's work. Whereas contribution is that you have to clearly identify we contributed to that cause. So the impact was the outcome. And unhealthy competition. Unfortunately, this is becoming very prevalent among Muslim charities in North America. Everybody's competing. I believe somebody asked that question. Is it Mariam or Rahima? Has that question? How can we compete? Because you can't compete because they're already competing. So your voice gets drowned out. Okay, now we are going to do an exercise. I'm going to ask you yes or no. There are 4 images I'm going to show. Tell me quickly, and in your chat box, say yes or no. Number one, is it donor stewardship? Habib, I can't remember pronounce his last name. He was invited by a charity. I have masked their name, and his fee, speaking engagement fee, according to his manager, is $300,000 for one night. $300,000 for one night. I can support 6 massages with that. In addition, travel, accommodation, and he's not going to come alone. He's going to come with his team. Is it donor stewardship or not? Yes or no? Overwhelmingly no.
No.
Yep. Okay. Let's go to the second one.
We have a question here. Sister
Yeah.
Mariam is asking if it's possible to provide those statistics because if organizations are not fulfilling these requirements from donors, this is an issue.
Yep. Waste of money. Yes. Okay, good. Now, when that organization was bringing Habib, another organization wanted to compete with them. They wanted to bring Trevor Noah. I don't know the pricing for that. I did not do a research, but Habib, I know. I didn't dig a little bit deep into this. Trevor Noah is also a popular figure. These people don't come for honorarium of $200 or $300, right? Even $1,000. They are not imams to be brought in cheap. And even some imams are charging more money, by the way, right? So tell me, stewardship.
No.
No, think about deeply what Trevor Noah is going to add to our knowledge, to the organization. Aren't you doing already enough work? Why do you have to bring in to steward your donors, to entertain your donors? If you did not bring in, do you think that they are not going to give to you? They will give, continue to give.
Just people think that it will be charismatic. People will
Yeah.
add more. That's the
Yeah.
only thing. Trust me. I agree with
Exactly.
you. Spending $3,000 and getting $4,000, $100,000 collection, net worth is $100,000.
Yep, perfectly. Yes, you're correct.
I will go with your example that they brought the person spending more than $40,000 for
Mhm.
that lunch or dinner, whatever,
Mhm.
which is enough for one masjid for the whole year budget, right?
Yeah.
That is lavish spending. So
Lavish
people that think that by doing so, they can make or can get more money, more donation.
You see, what is happening is that these charities are relying, depending on causes. They have to have some problem has to happen there. So if you're doing that, you have enough time. You're not doing anything. You're competing. You have enough time to compete. So, okay, more money came in. What are you going to do? More money sitting. You have to do something else. Bring in somebody else. Okay, this one. Again, I'm not going to go spend more time on this. They lit up the zoo, Toronto Zoo at night. You can go and check from the Toronto Zoo, call them and ask that if we want to lit up, if we want to sponsor, how much it will cost. They will give. And they charge $25 per person. For sure, they wouldn't have covered the entire amount of that the whole event.